Evelyn had always been a woman of quiet strength, the kind of person who moved through life with a graceful composure that belied the storms she had weathered. In the picturesque town of Maplewood, she was known as the woman who had kept her family together after tragedy struck. Her husband, Robert, had died suddenly in a car accident when their daughter, Lily, was only 10 years old. The loss had been devastating, but Evelyn had refused to let it define her or her daughter's life. Instead, she poured all her love and energy into raising Lily, ensuring that she grew up surrounded by warmth and stability. As Lily blossomed into a confident and bright young woman, Evelyn took solace in the fact that she had succeeded in creating a happy life for them both. They were inseparable, not just as mother and daughter, but as best friends who shared everything. When Lily went off to college, Evelyn felt the pang of an empty nest, but took comfort in their frequent phone calls and visits. It was during one of those visits that Evelyn first met David. He was Lily's boyfriend, and it was clear from the start that he was special. He had an easy smile, a gentle demeanor, and a way of making everyone around him feel at ease. Evelyn was immediately struck by how well he treated Lily, how he looked at her with a love that was palpable. It warmed Evelyn's heart to see her daughter so happy, and she quickly welcomed David into their lives with open arms. Over the next few years, David became a fixture in their home. He would often join them for Sunday dinners, his laughter filling the house that had once been so quiet. Evelyn found herself looking forward to these evenings, enjoying the lively conversations that flowed so easily between them. She and David shared a natural rapport, one that felt effortless and familiar, as though they had known each other for years. At first, Evelyn thought nothing of it. She was simply glad that Lily had found such a wonderful partner, someone who complimented her in every way. But as time went on, Evelyn began to notice a shift in her feelings toward David. It wasn't just affection or admiration. There was something deeper, something that made her heart beat a little faster whenever he was around. It started with the small moments. The way David would look at her with that kind, understanding smile, as if he could see right through her carefully constructed facade. The way he would listen intently when she spoke, making her feel like the most important person in the room. The way he would offer to help with chores around the house, his presence a comforting, steady force in her life. Evelyn found herself drawn to him in ways she hadn't anticipated. There were times when she would catch herself watching him, her thoughts drifting to places they shouldn't. She knew it was wrong, that these feelings were something she needed to keep hidden, but the more she tried to suppress them, the stronger they became. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed early with a headache, Evelyn and David found themselves alone in the living room. The fire crackled softly in the fireplace, casting a warm glow over the room. They talked quietly, their conversation drifting from one topic to another, as it often did. But there was a tension in the air, a quiet, unspoken understanding that neither of them dared to acknowledge. As the night wore on, the space between them seemed to shrink, and Evelyn became acutely aware of how close they were sitting. She could feel the warmth of his body next to hers, and it sent a thrill through her that she tried desperately to ignore. David turned to her, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that took her breath away. "You've been such a huge part of our lives, Evelyn," he said softly, his voice full of sincerity. "I don't know what we'd do without you." Evelyn's heart fluttered at his words, and she felt a wave of guilt wash over her. She knew she shouldn't be feeling this way, that she should be focusing on how happy she was for Lily, but the truth was, she hadn't felt this kind of connection with anyone since Robert. It was as if David had awakened something in her that she thought had been lost forever. "I'm glad you're in our lives too, David," she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "You make Lily so happy, and that means the world to me." They sat in silence for a moment, the only sound the crackling of the fire and the faint ticking of the clock on the mantel. Evelyn could feel her heart pounding in her chest, her mind racing with thoughts she knew she shouldn't be having. But when she looked at David, she saw something in his eyes that made her wonder if he felt it too, a longing, a yearning that mirrored her own. The moment passed quickly, but it left a mark on Evelyn's heart. After that night, she became more aware of her feelings, more attuned to the way her heart reacted whenever David was near. She found herself looking forward to his visits more than she should, feeling a spark of excitement whenever she saw his car pull into the driveway. Evelyn knew that what she was feeling was wrong, that she could never act on it, but the emotions were too powerful to simply push aside. She was in love with her son-in-law, and the knowledge of it filled her with both joy and despair. It was a love that could never be spoken, a secret she would have to carry with her for the rest of her life. As Lily and David's relationship deepened, Evelyn's feelings only grew stronger. She found herself living in a constant state of inner conflict, torn between her love for her daughter and the growing attachment she felt for David. She hated herself for it, for the way her heart betrayed her every time she saw them together, but there was nothing she could do to change it. In the quiet moments, when she was alone with her thoughts, Evelyn would replay the memories of the times she and David had shared, every conversation, every glance, every smile. These were the moments she cherished, the moments she clung to in the silence of her heart. But they were also the moments that tore her apart, reminding her of the love she could never have, the life she could never lead. Evelyn knew that she had to keep her feelings hidden, that she could never let on how she truly felt. She would continue to play the role of the supportive mother-in-law, loving David from a distance, content with the small pieces of his life that she was allowed to share. What deep down, she knew that this secret love would be the one thing that would always haunt her, the one thing she could never escape. It was a love that existed only in the shadows, a love that would never see the light of day. But for Evelyn, it was real, and it was hers alone. And though she knew it was a love she could never act on, it was a love that would stay with her forever, hidden away in the deepest corners of her heart.